Hello and welcome to No Spin. I'm Nidhi Razdan. Well, what a time it is to be alive. First, the men who gang raped Bilkis Bano and murdered her family were set free for good behaviour by the centre without serving their full jail term. Now, Dera Sacha Sauda chief Gurmeet Ram Rahim Singh, who's been convicted of rape and is supposed to be in jail as well, is also out on parole yet again, and he's also making music videos about Diwali. That music video, by the way, has had more than 85 lakh views on his YouTube channel in the last couple of days. That's right, 85 lakh views. Now, this Dera chief was sentenced to 20 years in prison in 2017 for rape. He's been out on parole 3 times already this year. This latest parole, which is for 40 days, comes just before a bypoll in Haryana. He even organized a satsang, by the way, where BJP leaders lined up to seek his blessings. So the question is, what has happened to us? Why are we revering rapists? Joining us first on the program tonight is someone who's been extremely outspoken on this issue. Lok Sabha MP from the Trinamool Congress, Mahua Moitra, joins us. Well, Mahua Moitra, I really have no words left anymore. First we had Bilkis Bano, now we have this, Dera chief. And as you pointed out in a tweet this morning, he's putting out a music video while he's on parole. I mean, this goes against every tenant out there, doesn't it?
Yeah, you see, parole and furlough are statutory rights granted to convicts by provisions of the Penal Code as part of a reformatory process. This is kind of aimed at humanizing the sentencing process. It's to enable the convict to maintain continuity with family life, with family matters, and to save the prisoner from the evils of continuous prison life. Now, it is not meant for increasing a circle of influence which allowed you to commit the crime in the first place. What is this rape Baba in for? This rape Rahim, I call him. I don't call him Ram Rahim. I call him rape Rahim. This rape Rahim, what is he in for? He's in for the rape of 2 women that he's raped, and his circle of influence was exactly this. By saying he's a god man, by holding these satsang, and for 2 murders. Please note, he's in for murder and for rape. And, when you see him now, he was granted parole, Nidhi, and I'm sure you've got this in front of you, but it's important that everyone know. He was granted parole for 1 day to meet his ailing mother. Yeah. I completely understand. That's okay. Again, granted parole 2021 for 1 day to greet his ailing mother. All okay. What happens after that? February 22, he's granted 21 days furlough to meet his family. But this is around the time of the Punjab elections. June 22, he's granted a 30-day parole, which is 2 days before the Haryana municipal elections. Now on 15th of October, he's been granted a 40-day parole with an assembly bypoll in Adhampur in Haryana and assembly elections in Himachal. Now, what has he done? He's gone out. The first thing he's done is an online satsang. You are given parole to be with your family to help you as part of a reformatory process, not to increase your influence as a god man that allowed you to commit rape and murder in the first place. And he's done a music video which has got 80 lakh likes. I don't even want to comment on what is so wrong with this country because we all know what is so wrong in this country. What I'm talking about is at least let us have a process of law that stops this kind of nonsense.
As you said, codified parole legislation is what India needs. Yes. You pointed out that that's something the US and the UK have and India does not. In other words, then you would actually have a system in place, right? Where you're not giving people parole for random reasons coinciding with elections.
See, the problem is these are purely executive privileges of the state governments. So what happens? Like you've seen in Bilkis, the Gujarat government decides they want to do it, they do it. There's nothing you can do. So parole, furlough, remission, all are executive privileges, right? They're not judicial privileges, they're executive privileges. It's not a court of law that is doing it. So same here. So any state government, for example, any BJP government now that's got a state election come up, and the BJP is very clear. They are against rape. When they say they're against rape, but they're clearly not against rapists. They say they're against murder, but they're not against murderers. So this is the issue. How can you release Bilkis's rapists? How can you release Ram Rahim? You have a BJP mayor of Karnal go there and call him Pitaji. And tell this Pitaji, we are waiting for you to come to Karnal where you can come and spread the Vani. I mean, Nidhi, what is going on? And we have the Prime Minister do all these histrionics from the ramparts of the Red Fort, saying this Vikrit Manasikata and all this kind of nonsense that, Indians should stop thinking of women like this and viewing women like this. What kind of nonsense are you propagating? by allowing this over and over again.
I just want to know, Mahua Moitra, we also have Priyanka Chaturvedi, Member of Parliament of the Shiv Sena, joining us. I just want to ask, because both of you are women MPs here, and if we could get Priyanka up as well, is this something that we can, maybe cutting across party lines, see being raised in Parliament in a big way, particularly by MPs like yourselves? Mahua, to you first, and then I'll take that question to Priyanka Chaturvedi as well.
Known as cutting across party lines. There's nothing known. Priyanka will shout in the Rajya Sabha, I'll shout in the Lok Sabha, that will be the end of that. You will have however many BJP MPs they have, when something like as ridiculous and nonsensical as Rashtra Patni come up, you will have all this Saas Bahu brigade stand up and point their fingers and, do all of these natak in Parliament. When it comes to something as important as Bilkis, zip. Something as important as Ram Rahim, zip. So those days of cutting across party lines and standing for justice and standing for the sorority and standing for sisterhood and standing for women are long gone. The BJP has taken the rule of law and taken, I think, all sort of gender parameters and thrown it out the window. So I am under no such misconception that we will come into Parliament and you will have the BJP ladies come in and support us. Nothing of the sort is going to happen. Priyanka will shout in the Rajya Sabha, I will shout in the Lok Sabha, 3 channels will cover us and 30 vote. That unfortunately is what it is.
Priyanka Chaturvedi, do you agree that has it come to that where even raising your voice in Parliament now doesn't count for much?
No, raising our voice in the Parliament will count for what we stand for sure. But I totally agree with Mahua in terms of cutting across political party lines and even their alliance partners, even those who are neutral, supposedly neutral, but support the government, will also not stand up. So it is a very unfortunate situation to be in. And why should just the women parliamentarians speak up on this? It should concern every single male parliamentarian too, that we have a situation where convicted rapists are outside and are doing their pravachans, they are doing their satsangs, they are releasing music videos, they are being celebrated in Gujarat, and we have those who are victims of such attacks, victims who have fought this entire battle on their own and on their own belief and conviction that they will get justice, today stand denied of justice. And that is the unfortunate reality of this country today. And every person should be speaking up, not just members of parliament, not just the MLAs. It should be every single citizen of this country. It could impact their homes. It could impact how justice system works in this country.
Can I ask both
and it agitates me every time I speak about it.
Can I ask both of you this? Just one more question before Mahua has to go. First to you, Priyanka, that doesn't it worry you that obviously these things are happening because certain political parties feel that this actually helps them in elections? The fact that Mr. Ram Rahim gets 85 lakh views on YouTube, right, after being convicted for rape, etc. Isn't that very disturbing to you that they think that this may actually work?
It is extremely disturbing, distressing as well, that today we are heading towards a society where law doesn't prevail, where justice is something which is denied to women who have fought their battle through the worst case scenario as well. And all I can say is that I hope the government of India steps in, and like Mahua has suggested in her tweet, that we take this entire situation out of the hands of the state government and at their discretion, and there should be some kind of codes that are put in place to ensure that justice is, at least seems to be applied in cases such as this. Here we are totally flouting norms. We have BJP representatives being part of such, celebrations as well as part of the satsangs, etc. It just flies in the face of everything that we have been taught as far as justice for women is concerned and equality and empowerment is concerned. It also exposes the hypocrisy of the Bharatiya Janata Party. We do this every single day, but we aren't seeing anybody rise up to the occasion and outrage as much as is needed.
Mahua Moitra, last comment from you on that. What I asked Priyanka as well, the fact that does this get traction amongst voters?
Yes, I think this is also necessary because, we have to come a full circle where, normal people, the BJP didn't win on the vote of the extreme right wing alone. They won on the vote of a large portion of the Hindu middle class who were sick of what they call the Congress's elitist policies of 2G, of this and that, for whatever reason. And they believed in something and they voted for this. Now, those are the voters which need to swing. Those are the voters. The extreme right is never going to swing. They're always going to be drinking the Kool-Aid. Let's not get into that. But this great mass of middle class voters who voted for the BJP, they have to realize this. So and such things have to happen for them to realize it. They have to realize when Bilkis happens and the Gujarat government lets them out and the union minister comes out and said, oh, it's okay. You know, they have to see when a man like this is being used to campaign. They have to see where exactly and what is the lowest common denominator of the BJP. And I think this is all part of that Shuddhikaran process. This is all part of that Samudra Manthan before the BJP goes. So I'm actually looking at it like that. I want them to see, everyone to see BJP in its utter nakedness. I want them to see India to see the BJP in its ugliest nakedness, because that's the only way that people are going to wake up. It may take 5 years, it may take 10 years, but that's it. Because the Prime Minister spouting lies from the ramparts of the Red Fort isn't going to do anything. Well, they need to see the Ram Rahims, they need to see the Bilkis convicts being felicitated, and they need to ask themselves, like, is this part of an India we need to belong to? I think
what is disturbing as well, Mahua, thanks very much for joining us. What is also disturbing, and I'd like to take this to the rest of the panel also, Yogendra Yadav is with us, is that Yogendra Yadav, it isn't just the BJP we're talking about here. When you see, for instance, I just did a show with the Aam Aadmi Party asking them about their silence on Bilkis Bano, for example. Or you have even the Congress, which is kind of dancing around the Dera chief's release and his parole, etc., and you know, very reluctant to talk about it. So this is a kind of cynicism in our politics that is actually now cutting across party lines, and that's what's worrying. Yogendra Yadav.
Nidhi, you're right. This is not for the first time that parties are being somewhat lenient on people accused of rape and murder. You are absolutely right that in the case of Ram Rahim, Baba as he was called at that time, many political parties, Congress, local, all of them played footsie with him. This is not the first time. But what we are witnessing now is really a new law of the kind this country has not seen before. It's not just Bilkis Bano. Remember the case of the Rajasthan minister who was at that time accused of rape. Central Union minister accused of rape continued to be in Mr. Modi's cabinet for quite some time. What happened in the case of Bilkis Bano, that should shame not just a government, it should shame any civilization. And now we have the case of this Ram Rahim, who now is no longer an accused. He is a convict. He is a rapist involving more than one woman. He is a murderer involving a murder which has been proven and convicted. On what basis so there's a legal question. The legal question, of course, is such hardcore criminals. Why is it that they are getting, parole after parole? There's a legal question of whether parole can be misused to do what he's doing, namely getting public sangha, doing all kinds of things. Now we have a tape which has been released of a Karnal mayor candidate, the BJP, who's seeking Baba's Ashirwad. All this is in the public domain. Yeah, so there's a legal question.
The legal question is a very important one. We've got Mr. Tanveer Ahmed Mir, senior advocate of the Supreme Court, with us as well. Tanveer Ahmed Mir, what is the law on this? Are you allowed, firstly, should you be getting parole like this? Obviously not, I'm guessing. But secondly, are you allowed to be doing what he's doing while out on parole?
Well, Nidhi, the parole to a person who has been convicted of a criminal felony and whose appeals are pending adjudication before an appellate court is a matter which is decided as per the jail manual and the rules pertaining to grant of parole by the executive authority, and in this case it is Secretary Home Department of the relevant government. Now, an application can be made by any accused, any convict, or any person whose matter is pending an appeal. And it is to be then decided by this authority whether the parole is to be granted or not. Now, I must tell you that I have had occasions to defend even Gurmeet Ram Rahim. Now, I've been his lawyer. In the famous Panchkula carnage case where about 38 people, lost their lives, the government tried to level a charge of waging war against the government, against his organization. He was not an accused there. His second in command was. And over a 4 days argument before a designated judge, I was able to convince the judge that there is no waging war against the organization Dera Sacha Sauda. Now, when a person like Gurmeet Ram Rahim, he is granted parole, I can understand that it manifestly creates a furore in the media. But at the end of the day, looking at from his perspective that when he comes out on parole, how he conducts himself is up to him. Now, if the conditions of the parole are violated, then the parole can be cancelled. But if there are no conditions appertinent to grant of parole,
so you're saying legally,
then nothing can be said.
Right. So you're saying legally, it may not be wrong for him to be making music videos, but Namita Bhandari is with us, columnist and activist. Namita Bhandari, the point is, it's more than a legal question. The legalese is one part of it, but the second is the moral question. And what do you make of 85 lakh people who watched that video and liked it?
Nidhi, even where the legal question is concerned, I mean, if we go back a little to Bilkis, remission is a policy that is allowed by the statute books. But it is not allowed in cases where there has been a conviction of either a heinous crime or a crime tried by the CBI. So we've not really talked at length about how this contravened the government's own policy. Parole, if I'm not mistaken, there is a limit of 90 days per year. Now, here is a man who has been given parole 6 times in 5 years. I mean, I don't know what is the jail manual, but I take Mahua's suggestion. I think it's a good one, that there needs to be greater transparency. These things are very opaque. You cannot have a system where an old priest who asks for a sipping cup because he has problems drinking water since he has Parkinson's is denied that cup and straw. And here is somebody who's just out on parole every time there's an election, whether it's in Punjab, whether it's in Himachal, whether it's a municipal election. He seems to be given a get out of jail card every single time. There's a second thing. Yes, you're right. There is a morality issue, but I think we've now come to this sad realization that in our male-dominated patriarchal politics, and I'm not saying that the women are coming rushing and speaking up right now, but where are the men? So when you have politics that is so patriarchal, this all becomes violence against women, becomes par for the course. A minister in Karnataka slaps a woman and the woman then issues a statement saying, no, it's all a big misunderstanding. I mean, we are seeing what he did to her. There's no consequence. There's no consequence. And one last point, that women are actually voting in larger numbers than men. We're turning out to vote in much larger numbers than men. True. And I think we need now a call for women to say that, look, just do not vote for parties that support this nonsense.
Mr. D.P. Kaushik of the BJP, Haryana BJP is with us. Kaushik ji, how do you explain this? On one hand, Mr. Modi, Pradhan Mantri ji bolte hain that, we are, we care about women's safety, Nari Shakti, और यहाँ से, एक convicted rapist को parole दिया जाता है. He is making music videos. BJP के नेता उसे बाबा बुलाते हैं, उसकी blessings मांगते हैं. तो ये कौन सी नारी शक्ति हुई?
देखिए, मैं भी मेरे सभी साथियों की बात सुन रहा था. मुझे ये नहीं समझ में आ रहा कि नाइक या तो क्यों उसमें कट कर खड़े कर रहे हैं मेरे सभी साथी. एक पैरोल उसको मिली है किसी भी विक्टिम को, तो उसको नाइक तरीका के तहत मिली है, और वो आके अगर कोई किसी को ऑब्जेक्शन है तो वो जा कोर्ट में जाए, उस चीज को ऑब्जेक्शन उठाए भी हमें ये चीज ठीक नहीं लग रही. और सेकंडली जो आप कह रहे हैं बीजेपी के नेता, बीजेपी के नेता नहीं, वहां पे कांग्रेस के भी है और दूसरी पार्टी को भी, और फिर किसी गुरु को या किसी आदमी को जो विक्टिम है उसको हम राजनीति से जोड़ क्यों रहे हैं? हमें इससे अब गुरु राम रहीम की बात कर रहे हैं आप लोग, हमें क्या बेनिफिट है इससे? क्या बेनिफिट हम उठाना चाह रहे हैं? वो अपनी काम कर रहे हैं, लोग उसके साथ आस्था जुड़े हैं, लोग उसके पास जा रहे हैं. इसमें पार्टी का रोल कहां से आ रहा मुझे समझ नहीं आ रहा. तो ये सब चीजें इस तरह की सहज करना मुझे नहीं लगता कि ठीक है कि इसके अंदर
नहीं. लेकिन क्या ये ठीक है कि कोई भी नेता उनके पास जाए और उनका आशीर्वाद मांगे, वो ठीक है?
कांग्रेस में सभी लोग नतमस्तक हुए थे.
I think we have a problem with that audio. Priyanka Chaturvedi wants to come in. Yes, Priyanka. Sorry, we'll just try and fix that, Kaushik ji.
No, all I want to tell him is he's saying इसमें बीजेपी का क्या लेना देना. अगर नतमस्तक कांग्रेस हो रहा है, बीजेपी हो रहा है बाबा राम रहीम को लेकर, तो दोनों ही पक्ष जिम्मेदार हैं. और इस शर्मनाक बात है that we are all willing to be part of the process where they are flouting all norms and they are totally rubbing it in the face of these victims who have fought a long and hard battle to get justice. These are not accused of rape crimes. These are convicted of rape crimes. तो अगर हमें ये अंतर नहीं समझ में आ रहा है, न्यायिक प्रक्रिया की बात कर रहे हैं, न्यायिक प्रक्रिया एक तरफ करिए, मॉरल प्रक्रिया की तो बात करिए. ये देश में मॉरल कंपास इज समहाउ लॉस्ट एज फार एज विमेन सेफ्टी एंड एम्पावरमेंट इज कंसर्न. एक तरफ हम नारे लगाते रहते हैं महिला सुरक्षा, महिला सशक्तिकरण, और दूसरी तरफ हम उनके चरणों में जाकर नतमस्तक हो जाते हैं क्योंकि वो कोई बाबा है और हम लोग सब उनकी प्रार्थना करेंगे, उनसे शायद वोट मिल सकते हैं. कोई खुलकर नहीं बोल पा रहा है कि ये तो कन्विक्टेड है. इट इज अ शेम. And I think as a society, we need to readjust our focus on how we want to be known as a nation which respects its women. This is what Baba Saheb Ambedkar envisioned, that we can only be a progressive nation, we can only progress as a nation if we give women the due respect. Unfortunately, we're missing that particular point only for political opportunism that we see amongst all the political parties, and they're not standing up for the cause that even Baba Saheb Ambedkar envisioned for India.
Absolutely.
It's unfortunate.
Yogendra Yadav, last word.
जस्ट वांटेड टू रेस्पॉन्ड टू कौशिक जी. बड़ी मासूमियत से पूछ रहे हैं, इसमें बताइए राजनीति क्या है. आई वांट टू रिमाइंड हिम 2014 असेंबली इलेक्शन, हरियाणा बीजेपी openly sought vote from Baba's supporters. Baba's political committee, there is a political committee of Dera Sacha Sauda which openly gave support to Baba, and when BJP won election, the entire cabinet with the chief minister himself, Mr. Khattar, they went and prostrated in front of the Babaji. This is the political connection. This is not, I'm not imagining this. This is happening. This is the second time he is being given parole exactly when elections are taking place. There is a critical by-election in Adampur. There is a municipal and panchayat election happening, and in Himachal Pradesh. These are areas where they exert influence. It is not a it is not a secret that the political committee gives directions to his followers, and to say if there are certain conditions, he should accept those conditions. Mr. Kaushik, those conditions have been put by the government, which is led by the BJP. So, if there are no conditions to his parole, then BJP government must answer. Why is it that a rapist and a murderer does not have any conditions? On what grounds is he being released? What is that great emergency under which this person gets parole again and again? These are questions that cannot be brushed aside by simply saying it's a legal matter. But there is a larger public ethical question here.
Absolutely. I have to leave it at that for the moment, but we're not taking our eye off this story. Thank you very much to all of you for joining us tonight. Thank you.